Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing this beautiful look right here. This little look was definitely created using, by your request, a Colourpop palette, and I used the California Love palette. This palette definitely spoke to me. I saw it in stores and I knew this is the one that I wanted to try out first. I've never used any shadows from Colourpop, I don't think. The only thing I think I've used thus far is their concealer, which is amazing, and their eyebrow pencil. I'm not sure if I've used their concealer on camera for you guys, but I'll definitely in the future do a video where I'm doing most of my face Colourpop because I don't think they have like foundations or anything. I'll definitely have to do my research and check into that, but I'm pretty sure they don't. But today's video is definitely focused on this palette right here, and this is the California Love palette, again, from Colourpop, and I just really love the color story on this, and it definitely speaks to me. You guys know I love my orange and brown shades, so... Okay, so I'm actually going to be starting with my brows today, and I'm going to be using the Colourpop Brow Boss pencil, and it just looks like this. It's a really thin pencil, and it has obviously the pencil on one side, but you just scroll it up and it's really thin, and I love that about this pencil. And then on the other side you have the spoolie. You guys know I've been loving using this for my brows, so I am going to use it today. Since this, aside from the palette, is pretty much all that I have from Colourpop right now. So I'm going to use this. I will use also the Ka-Brow, the dip pomade, to also fill in my brows. But I'm going to first use the pencil, and I like to use a teeny tiny mirror. This is like a little one I got from Sephora with my points. And I'm just going to use this to carve my brows up. So basically I just outlined my brows, top, bottom, all that good stuff, just to kind of give it its shape. And then I'll go in with the pencil a little bit just to fill in some sparse areas, but the rest of it will be done with the pomade. So I just like to take the pencil and just lightly just flick up, just so I can fill in some of those sparse areas. And then whatever I don't get with the pencil, the pomade will definitely get. So now I'm going to prime my eyes using this NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This is in the shade Biscuit. As you guys can see, I've hit the bottom of this pan, but there's still a lot of product around. So I'm going to use this to conceal my brows. I love using this to conceal not only my brows, but also my lids, and just prime them for shadow. So I'm just going to take a little bit and just work that on my eyelid. And I'll bring it up to the brow, and once I get closer to the brow, I will kind of shape it. Now I'm just taking my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush, and I'm just going to use this just to kind of move the base around and just really blend it out so that we have a nice even flat surface to work with. So I just do like light circular motions around my eye just to really get it blended out. Okay, so we're gonna start with the eyes now. Hopefully you guys cannot hear that noise that's going on outside. I don't know what people are doing. They must not know I'm trying to film, but it's rather annoying, and I don't have time to wait for it to stop because Lord only knows when that's gonna be. So I'm going to be using the California Love palette for my eyes today. I think it's not only a summer palette, but it's also a very fall palette. I did recently pick this up per your guys' request. So here we are with the Colourpop tutorial palette tutorial situation. Colourpop has a lot of things coming out. It seems like honestly almost every week something new from Colourpop is coming out, and it's just crazy. But I did decide to pick this palette up because you guys know I love my browns and my warm tones, and definitely this yellow and this shimmer shade right here is definitely calling my name. So we're gonna work with this, try to create somewhat of a nice glam fall kind of look. We'll see what we come up with, but this is what we're using. Love the look and layout of this palette, and I think it's super beautiful. So let's get into the actual tutorial, shall we? So taking my Morphe M441, I'm gonna grab both Laguna and the Bay. So Laguna is this one right here, and the Bay is this one over here. So they're both pretty like tan neutral kind of shades, if you guys can see that. So I'm just going to buff these two shades into the crease and just kind of start building up that transition. Now the one thing about this palette is that it does not have a mirror, so I can't just like look at it. So I am using the mirror in front of me just to lightly buff the shade into the crease. And I'm not going to build this up too much. Now I'm going to take my M513 and I'm going to go into Sequoia. I believe that's how you say it. And it's like this orangey yellow shade right here. Definitely looks more yellow on camera, but in person it definitely looks like a orange yellow kind of shade. So I'm just going to take that and buff that into the crease as well. And this kind of just gives those other two shades that we used a little bit of warmth, and just really helps to further blend those shadows out. Now with the clean blending brush, I'm just going to use this just to further blend out all the shadows. That way they just kind of have a nice gradient effect and it's not looking choppy. So far these shadows are really easy and nice when you blend them out, and mixing them, like intermixing the shades so far haven't been an issue. So far a really nice palette. Now I want to take a little bit of Gold Rush, which is this shadow right here, and I'm gonna pop this right on the outer corner and just start packing this shadow on. And to be honest, I need a little bit smaller mirror, that way I can kind of see what I'm doing. And this Gold Rush shade has a little bit, like very little of glitter pigment in it, but you can't see it when you put it on the eye, so that's kind of nice. So I'm just packing it on the outer part of my eye and just kind of deepening it up little by little. To deepen up the outer corner of our eyes just slightly, I'm going to use Highway 21, which is this one right here. And I'm going to use that same brush I was using for the other one. This one also has a little bit of shimmer in it. So let's see. Again, when applying it, you don't see it. I feel like this shadow right here is really what's going to deepen this look up. And there is one more I could use. Okay, to darken up the outer corner just a wee tiny bit more, I'm gonna take Mission, which is the darkest brown in this palette right here, and I'm also gonna place that in my outer corner as well. Just really trying to get the feel for a lot of these shades in this palette. I literally need like the tiniest amount, just because we built up that other shade so much, and this one is super pigmented as well. So you don't even need that much of the shade to make it even more darker. So I'm putting the Eggo on the inner part of my lid, and this shade is super beautiful, you guys. Honestly, you don't need to wet it, but there is such a lot of fallout that I spray my brush down just so I don't get that fallout, because it's quite a bit. Like, if you guys can kind of like see, I have fallout all underneath my eyes. So to prevent that, spray it with some Fix Plus and it kind of like melts down. So I'm not going to do any liner or anything like that. I'm just going to apply my lashes, zoom you guys out, and then we can start on the base makeup. So moving on to priming the face, I'm just going to be using my Too Faced Hangover RX Primer. I'm almost done with this, and I'm definitely going to repurchase a new bottle of that, but that's just like my holy grail primer, and I really love using it. I use it all the time, honestly. Off camera, on camera. I know you guys are probably tired to see me use the same old primer over and over again, but when I find something that works for me, I stick to it, unless like I'm trying out something new. Now before I start the foundation, I am going to try this new Smashbox. This is the Hood Witch Photo Finish Love Ritual Primer Water, and it's jasmine and rose scented. So this is what the bottle kind of looks like. So I'm just going to be using a little bit of this to spray on my face. The mist on this is super light and soft. Oh, I really love it, and I love the smell. It smells really good. So I'm just gonna kind of let that sink into the skin a little bit before we apply our foundation. And while I'm letting that dry, the foundation I'm going to be applying is the NARS Sheer Glow in the shade Tahoe. I definitely have a tan from vacation, and it's really bugging me because I was supposed to do a different video today and I couldn't because it just wasn't a good match. But that video will be coming soon. So the thing about not having a pump on your foundation, when it starts to get low, it's not as easy to get out. So I kind of like stuck my brow pencil that I don't use in there. And now I'm just rubbing this on my face just to kind of disperse the product and get the product out. So now I'm going to use my sponge to just blend all of this in. I know I've said before, this foundation definitely looks orange, but I prefer an orange base foundation versus like a gray kind of undertone type foundation. So just gonna blend all of this in, and it will look much better once it's all blended in, and it'll look much nicer. For concealer today, I'm gonna be using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Caramel, and I just like to put a little bit on the back of my hand and use my concealer brush. This is the Morphe M705 to just lightly apply this underneath my eye, and then I will blend it in afterwards with a sponge. I'm also going to place this down my nose, above my lip, the center of my forehead of course, and my chin. While I let the concealer and all that sit on my face, I'm just going to use the Wet n Wild contour stick with this angled brush. It's kind of like a no-name brush. It rubbed off a long time ago. And I'm just going to brush this on here like this, very lightly. And then use this and stamp it onto my cheekbones and all of that, just to kind of carve out my cheeks and everything. So just like stamp it on, and then I'll buff it in afterwards. This is a really good way of applying your cream contour without putting too much, and you can be just a little bit more precise with it and it won't look crazy. Also, I find that this is also a better way of like blending it in, you know, versus just taking the cream stick and just directly applying it to my face. This seems to be a little bit more beneficial for me. Now you can either blend the product in with the brush that you use to apply it initially, or you can just use your sponge and just tap over it and blend it in that way. Whichever way works for you. I just do whatever I feel at the time, honestly. I've done it both ways. Now it's time to blend this concealer. It has time to sit and get a little tacky, so now we're just going to start to blend this in. I generally feel like these Morphe sponges were definitely just not made the same. Like this one is definitely more stiff than my other Morphe sponge, which I might switch over to because this is super stiff. But tapping around the edges of the concealer first, and then I want to tap as little as possible close up to my under eye area. So I'm saving that kind of like for last. All right, now that we've reached the under eye area, which is like the only area that needs to be blended out now, I'm gonna use the straight edge part of the sponge and just tap lightly underneath. To set everything down, I am going to use my Huda Beauty Banana Bread Powder, and I'm going to just use that very lightly underneath my eyes. Tap like this to get the product down, and then I'll open it up and start applying it to my under eyes. I'll also put this powder in my T-zone as well, just so that I can mattify all of that, and then for the rest of my face, I'll use a different powder to set all of that down. And I am using the same sponge that I've been using this whole time, so nothing different. And as you guys can see, I'm not baking. I'm just literally just tapping the powder onto my skin, and then I'm just trying to now take that remaining powder that's left on top of my skin and just press it in. To take off any additional bakage on the face or powder from the loose powder that we used of the Huda Beauty, I'm now going to take my Micro Smooth powder and set the rest of my face. And I just like to take this on this big brush. Just kind of run it on the perimeter of my face. So I'm just using a little bit of the MAC Gimme Sun just to add some bronziness to my face and just some warmth into my skin. I really have been loving this and enjoying this bronzer behind the scenes off camera. So I'm just gonna put that pretty much everywhere. And I'm going to contour my nose using a Hoola Benefit bronzer. You guys already know. Nothing new with that. Same old, same old. And just use that just to kind of contour my nose just a little bit. I have not contoured my nose in a while. I kind of stopped for a little bit, but I just thought I'd do it today because I kind of missed it. Let's work on our bottom lash line really quickly. I'm going to take Laguna, which is the light color right here, and I'm going to smudge that underneath my lash line. I'm going to take now a little bit of Gold Rush, which is this one in the outer corner of the palette, on that same brush, and also blend that underneath there as well. I think for this one I'm just focusing it more so in the middle part of my under eye versus the whole under eye as a whole. And then with a more flat brush, this is the Morphe M432. It's just like a really pinched flat brush, and I'm just going to use this to take the Highway 1, which was the second to darkest shade that we used, and rub that up against my lower lash line. And the reason I'm choosing to use this one instead of the darkest brown is just because I don't want my bottom lash line to be too smoky or intense, and I want it to have like a warm tone, very vibrant type of feel. I really like that. This look kind of reminds me of like leaves changing in fall. It's just so beautiful. So I'm gonna leave the under eye alone, and then whatever I use for highlight, I'm just gonna use for my inner corner and my brow bone. Now I need to add a little bit of blush. So let me see what blush I want to use. So for blush, I'm gonna use the Almar Cosmetics Trio, and I'm gonna dip into these two right here, Seclusion and Isla, however you say it. You guys already know by now that I don't even know how to say that at this point, but we're gonna dip into those two shades. Apply a little bit of blush. Definitely love how this blush is looking with this look. It just brings everything all together and it just makes sense, you know? I am gonna diffuse it just a little bit with that same bronzer brush. Just to kind of mix my bronzer in with the blush a little bit. Just marry them together. Before we get into the highlight, I did do my brows, like finish them up off camera. And as always, I just used the Man Eater palette, used this shade down here, which is called Midnight, just to create some fake brow hair strokes in the front. And then I went on top of it with a little bit of the Wow Brow. Now I really like doing this last, or basically after I'm done with all my powders, because when you do apply powder to your face, sometimes the powder gets over on top of your brows and then they start looking ashy. So this just brings them out a little bit more and it looks really good. So I love doing that. Also applied bottom lash mascara, and I just used the Tarte Big Ego mascara because that's the same one I used at the top. All right, now for highlight, I'm going back to an oldie but a goodie, the Carly Bible palette right here. And again, not a fan of the shadow shades, but definitely love the highlighter shades, especially these more golden champagne-y colors right here. Not so much this light pink one, I don't use ever, but the three of these I definitely use. So we're just gonna use a little bit of mixture of that today just to highlight our cheekbones, nose, top of the lip, you know, the usual places that we highlight just to give a nice glow to the face. And I thought going back to this palette was the perfect choice for this look. So to highlight my inner corner, I'm just gonna go in with the same highlighter shade that we just used. And what I love most about these highlighters in this palette is that when you first put it on, like it's there, you can see it and it's nice and it's subtle, but you can definitely layer this highlighter up and it can just get more and more intense, and I really love that. So Now I'm just gonna pack this right here in this inner part of my eye just really nicely. And I think it just adds a nice little touch to this look and just completes it. Now for setting our face, I am going to pull my hair out my face because my hair tends to get wet whenever I spray my face down. I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Infallible Makeup Extender Spray. I've been loving this as well. Just really get it on there and just really spray everything down. Real fast, I forgot my waterline, so I am going to apply this LA Girl Perfect Precision Lip Liner in nude. I know it's a lip liner, but it's definitely way too light for my skin tone and my lips. So I use it as an eyeliner and an eyeliner only. So I'm gonna use this. It's like a white, but it's nude, you know? So it's not stark white, but it's like that light pale nudie pink kind of shade. And I feel like this definitely helps bring out your eye color and completes the makeup look. Now I'm just going to use a dark brown liner, and I think what I want to do with this shade is not only line my lips but also fill them in. Now I'm going to use a little bit of my Dose of Colors lipstick, and this is in the shade Fudge, just to add a little bit more chocolatiness to this look, and then I'll add a powder on top. Now I'm taking Midnight, which is the same shade I use for my brows, and then just tapping right on top of this lipstick. So it's as if I was doing like translucent powder to mattify my lip, except I'm using shadow. Okay guys, so this is the finished and final makeup look. I'm definitely loving it. I'm truly loving this California Love palette from Colourpop. I definitely am gonna have to pick up more stuff from Colourpop because I love their brow pencil and that palette. Like, so far so good. Definitely make sure you sound off down below to let me know what you guys think. As always, make sure you subscribe to my channel, bell notification on. I love you guys so much. Thank you all for supporting me, and I will see you guys super soon in the next video or vlog, whichever one comes first.